Many Montana customers would tell you they'd like better cell service and faster internet all across the state of Montana. But how much would that cost?
Probably more than you and I make, that's for sure. Today, in the final segment of this three-part series, our chief political reporter, Mike Dennison, looks at the debate over the sources of funding that are needed to deploy or improve access for us across Montana.
The cell phone tower out here is no profit center, but does that mean rural Montanans should have to go without that service? For those living in Montana's rural areas or smaller towns, access to modern telecom services is seen as a critical need.
It's a huge issue, and it doesn't matter if it's Havre or Big Sandy or Seattle. I mean, in today's economic environment, if you don't have access to reliable broadband, high-speed internet, I don't know how you can do business.
Federal Universal Service funds are helping expand high-speed internet into areas served by rural telecoms in Montana and a few areas served by larger companies. But precise data on where service is truly lacking make it difficult to target the funds.
The challenge we have right now is that the maps are so bad that we don't know where the coverage is in rural America and where it isn't. And when it comes to grants from the FCC, from the USDA, those maps are critically important.
Tester is co-sponsoring a bill to attack that problem, but it's stalled in the Senate. He also says the federal government isn't exactly flush with cash right now.
This country's running $trillion deficits every year, so it's really hard to find the money. We've got to figure out ways where we prioritize our spending in this country, and broadband should be at the top of the list. If it isn't, we'll get left behind in the world economy we live.
Those using federal money to build out modern telecom services in rural Montana say it's not enough, and that broadband should be seen as vital infrastructure.
But if you were to go ask anybody in any community in Montana whether or not broadband is just as important a piece of infrastructure, I think the answer you're going to hear is yes.
Williams also has an idea where at least some of the money could come from. The multi-billion-dollar companies like Facebook, YouTube, and Netflix, which are major users of broadband.
But to use my network, they don't pay me a single penny. So for example, of all the traffic on Blackfoot's network, 40% of that traffic is Netflix traffic. Netflix pays us nothing to use our network.
Fiber optic broadband also is needed to activate and hook up cell phone towers in rural areas. Without some form of subsidy, the cost of these services for rural Montanans is not affordable.
If you want to make it a market-based solution, is what you're asking for, my customers' rates would quadruple.
We're also talking big money, hundreds of millions of dollars over several years to bring affordable access to these services to most of Montana. Senator Tester, for one, believes it's worth it.
Just because there's a fewer people living out here doesn't mean we should forget about rural America. Whether it's high-speed internet or whether it's cell coverage, we can make some better choices if we have access to that. I think there has to be a concerted effort, especially in rural America, to get the high-speed internet, the rural broadband laid down.
So the question becomes, will the money be there from somewhere so that rural Montana and rural America won't be left out in the communication wilderness? Near Loma, Mike Dennison, MTN News.
And you can see all three of Mike's reports on our website, kpax.com.